Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. I'm not gonna be afraid, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna fear the storm. You are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. I'm not gonna fear it all. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, oh peace over me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. Peace, peace over me.
All right, good stuff. Good morning and awaken. Let me just take this down for a second. Yeah, this is good stuff. I'm excited to be with you this morning. I have something that I want to share with you that I think that you're going to resonate with a lot, and something that I just was a part of this morning. I encourage us all to um, take time, and to grow ourselves. And if you're not doing that, I would encourage you to block off time for self, right? Block off time so that you can grow spiritually, physically, emotionally, and like whatever you do, like as a leader in your fields, learn learn new skills, etc. Right? And so there's something beautiful about that. I want to wish everyone a good morning. Good morning, JoJo and Karen. Good to see you all the way from Arizona. So that's cool. And so this is, let me see what Liz wrote. Good morning, church family. I am very excited to share that after over 3 years of fostering to adopt our little girl, today is her adoption day. Aw, I've got to bring that up. That is so awesome. How cool is that? That is fantastic. And my workmanship here is not, but I love your, what's it called? The emoji thing or something? I don't know. I don't know what that's called, but I like it. That is such great news. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Congratulations to you and Pete. Oh my gosh, so good, so good. Well, it's awesome to be with you. If this is your first time being with us, first of all, again, my name is Sean Smith. This is Awakening. This is meant to be a time for us to be inspired, but also challenged, and I would hope encouraged in that challenge. And I do present from a Christian worldview, but this is meant for anyone and everyone, regardless of where you're at on the spiritual spectrum. I will be putting forth scriptures to that we can glean from. I don't always do that, but a lot of times I'm using the Bible as a reference point to stimulate conversation. And so just hang in there. You know what I mean? If this is your first time and you're not a Christian, it's fine. I think that you'll find that this will add value to your life, and it's thought provoking. There's also beautiful community that happens on the Facebook feed. I'm always kind of marveling at that. So this is meant to be participatory. So make sure you're asking questions. You're not taking me off task either. Like, you know what I mean? You're not interrupting me or anything like that. So really, I love, and I might not get to every comment, but I get to a lot of them. And you guys form our time together. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, the best times that we've had is because of the conversations that you stimulated as a result of your sharing. And so I welcome that and I love that. So, but awakening is something about, like, if you know me, like, one of my passions, like one of the reasons why I believe I'm here on earth is to help people live life to the fullest in Christ. And I call it the dead man walking syndrome, right? Like that too many of us are just existing. We're just going through the motions of life. And so I want to kind of awaken something in you. You know what I mean? Like I want to touch something in your soul. I want to trigger something in your mind. I want to bring something out of you that you didn't know you were capable of. And that, because I believe that that's what God wants for you. And so so this is just nice. It's nice to be with you. Lori, welcome. And so let's go ahead and get started. I do encourage you to share this. Just maybe take a quick moment, click on the link, share it with out into Facebook. You don't have to share it directly to friends. Obviously, you can do that anytime, but just get it out there into Facebook land. And that way we're spreading the word and getting more people involved so that we can have a positive influence on people's lives. And when we do that in one person's life, there's a trickle down, right? There's a ripple effect. And I trust in that. I think that that's a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, just take a moment, go ahead and share that link. I appreciate that. And so as you're sharing, this is a thought that I had. I was listening to a podcast this morning, a lady named Danny Johnson, and Lori's on the call. So Lori had given me a book by her, and so I was listening to one of her talks this morning, and she said something that, like, kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, oh, I gotta share this morning, right, with all of you. And so I'm gonna copy and paste it into the feed. But here's the question: what are my habits, and what are my habits producing? Okay, so I'm going to put it in the feed for us. But this question, for me anyways, was something that I was like, whew, this is a brilliant question. And it goes with this. I don't know who said this, but it's something that I've heard along the way. It's like, you are perfectly structured for the results that you're getting currently. So that could be in business, that could be in your family, that could be in your marriage, it could be in your friendships, it could be with, when you're in college. Like, whatever results you're getting right now, you are perfectly structured for it, meaning you are living a life, you are making decisions and actions and habits that are creating these results. So a lot of us sit here and we complain about my life, and this is wrong and that's wrong, and my spouse is this and my kids are that, and my career is this, right? And we sit and complain a lot, but we seldom look in the mirror and say, wait a second, that's because of me. Right? It's always out there. It's always the others. It's the situations out of our control. It's the circumstances we find ourselves in. It's these people. It's this boss. And so instead, this question causes me to have to look at myself And it has to look at like, what are the habits that I have in place? Which habits are good that I can build upon? Which habits are bad that I need to get rid of? And so I want you to be thinking about it. And maybe you can write in there, what are some of your good habits and what are some of your poor habits? And I'm going to list you a few of mine to kind of prime the pump a little bit. But isn't this such a great question? When you look at it and you think about your life, something that's unsatisfactory to you, and then you sit there and say, wait a second, the reason why it is the way it is because of me. That, my friends, will set you free. If you come to really acknowledge that, accept that, and not be beating yourself up over it, not be woe is me and guilt ridden. No, it's simply an acknowledgement of right now, I am either lacking some skills in these areas, I'm listening to the voices in my head that I need to silence, and it has to do with the habits and the structures that you currently have in place. And so the good news is if you're feeling stuck, you can be unstuck just as quickly, right? And so when I was thinking about these habits, I was like, I was thinking about TV. Now you can put social media on there, whatever you want, computer time, Facebook time, outside of this, of course, because this is a good use of your time. This is a good habit. I hope you recognize that. This is a habit, and I mean that sincerely, because why? You're taking this chunk of time to stimulate growth, to stimulate thought, to stimulate new actions, and that's what this time's meant for. This intention is to awaken something in you that maybe it had been dormant, or you wanted to hide behind, or you weren't ready yet, or you weren't even aware of. Right? This is all these things happen when we're during this time of awakening. So with this idea of TV, now I don't watch a lot of TV, and see, even that is like a caveat. I have to there's something broken inside of me that I have to defend that. I have to put that out there. So you don't have a picture of me, sitting at my house for 5 hours a day watching TV, even though that's probably like the average. I forget what it is. It's like 5 or 8 hours a day that the normal American watches TV. Sad when you times that over a lifetime and you see like, oh my gosh, they call it the boob tube for a reason. That's what we turn into. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I cracked myself up. Oh, we're all turning into giant, All right. So loss of time and a waste of time. This is what I was thinking about. This habit of TV. So here's my habit, just to be perfectly frank with you. I don't even think I don't want to say never, but I hardly ever watch TV during the morning or the daytime. So my habit is at nighttime when I come home from a long day of work, or a lot of times I work from home, so just a long day, right? But now Diane's home. We've had dinner. It's like she's had a long day as well. And it's kind of like we've always talked about. It's like our together time. It's like we're vegging together. It's kind of like mindless. But like what this lady, Danny Johnson, was putting forth, she's like, it's not mindless. And it's not doing what you probably think it's doing. And she said something like, there's so many messages. There's a reason why TV is TV, right? They're constantly selling you on ads. They're constantly selling you on materialism. Like whether it's, even if you fast forward through the commercials, it's like it's built into the what you're letting your mind get stimulated by what you're seeing, whatever show you're watching, whether it's the clothes that they're wearing, whether it's the relationships that they have, whether it's making you feel better about yourself or worse about yourself in the sense of the Jones, keeping up with the Joneses. So it's putting forth this idea of comparing ourselves. There's so many things, there's so many messages that's going into TV watching that when I started thinking about it, I was like, man, you know what? Like I know it's a loss of time already. Like people always talk about how busy they are, and I'm a pretty busy guy. Okay, so I could hang my hat on that. So I kind of like when people say that, I'm like, it's not a good excuse. You know what I mean? Like I would suggest that most people are busy. Now, but are we busy doing the right things? Are we busy producing kingdom results? Meaning like, are we making a difference? Are we moving the ball down the field and things that matter? And so if answer those questions honestly and sincerely is the key here. And so I felt like it was definitely a loss of time. I'm not being as productive as I can be. And I have to be careful here because there is either Diane and I have to come up with a different routine together, meaning like we have to come up with a different way of spending our time together because we don't have a lot of time together during the weeks, right? And so that little 2 hour window, 3 hour window, it's usually like 7 to 9, I would suggest, is when we're together. Um, and so it's not a loss of time in that way, right? That I'm spending time with my wife, but it's a loss of time in the sense of what we're actually doing together. Now, in a sense, it's also a waste of time. So a loss of time and a waste of time, because time well spent, right? It creates something. So right now, I'm wasting that time. Am I actually building my relationship with Diane during that time? The answer is no. If I'm being honest, I'm not getting to know her better. I'm not, asking her about her day and engaging in stimulating conversation that's enriching our relationship. We're sitting there watching TV and oftentimes while we're on our phones multitasking. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could be answering emails. I could be checking out Facebook. Same with her. And so to fool myself, and this is what we do, this is why I'm sharing this, is that we tend to we have these reasons and these stories that we make up as to justify our bad behaviors, our bad habits. So now that's one. All right. Another example that I had was I do work from home a lot, and so a lot of times, like just for privacy reasons, I'll go upstairs. I'll stay in my bedroom. So I'm fairly comfortable sitting on my bed with my laptop and getting a lot of work done. And so I know a lot of people can't do that. And there's so anyways, I was just thinking about that. And sometimes I do. I want to remove myself if there's a busyness because I live with my in-laws. I got 3 kids, so 2 of the kids are still home. And so anyways, we could have a pretty busy home with 4 adults, adult children and 2 in-laws downstairs. And so I could be actually distracted, right? So that's the reasoning, if you will. That's my logic for sometimes working upstairs. Now I can either be working upstairs on my couch, on my bed, or sometimes I'm downstairs in the living room working on my couch. So again, sometimes very, very productive. And other times there's a temptation to slack because why? I'm in a posture, I'm in a position where that can happen. And so again, so I'm just being very authentic and real with you. I have to be very disciplined, or I have to change my physical location. All right. And then the third thing is too much time attached to my phone. So I've come up with, I'll talk about some of my healthy habits in a second here, but what happens is my phone is constantly with me, and my justification is like I do everything off of my phone. I keep my notes on my phone. I keep track of my calendar on my phone. Obviously, talking on my phone, and then I use it to research, right, to look up different things. And so there's a lot of quote unquote good things about that. But what happens on your phone when it's constantly in your hand? It buzzes. There's a text message that comes in. There's an email that comes in. There's a phone call that comes in. And wait a second, I'm supposed to be working in this 90-minute window undistracted, and yet this thing keeps dinging and buzzing and all these different things. So I have to be mindful of this, right? Because what happens is I'll be really focused doing a great job, and all of a sudden I see that text and it's from someone. I'm like, and it's not, there's no judgment. I'm like, well, I guess there is judgment on who it is. But like, say it's somebody that's on my team at church, and I have a thought of something else that I'm working on. I'm just not working on it currently. So then I don't want to miss it, right? And so there's a trigger there that I got to get to that. And what I'm saying though, this is a bad habit. All right, so some of my good habits. So anyways, I want you to be writing in what are some of your bad habits, okay? And I see that some of you are doing that, and I'll come to yours in a second. I want to balance this off a little bit by talking about some good habits. So I've shared with you, there's certain things that I believe that waking up in the morning, I started the 5 a.m. club, right? And so I'm into like, I don't know, say day 40 or something like this. Monday through Friday, not Saturdays and Sundays for me personally. And so I've been waking up at 5:16 every day for the last 35 days, and then this week I said, you know what, I'm just going to channel it back to 5, and now I'm going to be 5 a.m. on the dot, and that's when I'm getting up, and then I do a thing called 20-20-20. Now these are habits. So the waking up is habits, the routines is a routine. So Danny Johnson said it beautifully. She said, some of you are going to be like, I hate routines. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like structure. And she's like, everything we do in life is a routine. Like, if you think about it, like whenever you get up out of bed, that's your routine. You know, when you go and get a shower and you clean up and you brush your teeth, that's a routine. You have your routine for your eating habits, for your working out or not working out habits. Like, you have routines for everything that you do. They just might not be good ones. So this is the point. Look at your habits. And so this 20-20-20 thing, I found over the last month and a half or so, it's been awesome. I really love it. So I take 20 minutes to do a quick little workout. It's yoga. 90% of the time I do a yoga routine. And then I do like some push-ups and sit-ups and some burpees, lunges, whatever. Just things right in the house that I could do really quickly, get a little bit of a sweat going, get the blood flowing a little bit. And there's a lot of great results that come out of that. The studies show physiologically that there's a good habit, right? The next 20 minutes, I spend time with God, whether it's praying, reading the Bible, journaling, just in silence, whatever that looks like. I've been jumping on Pastor Rudy Mosley's prayer time in the morning. So just different things, right? And then I take the last 20 minutes and I stimulate my mind with something that's going to help grow me, develop me as a person, as a leader. And so it could be a podcast, it could be a book. I have a couple of books that I'm reading, and there's a couple of podcasts that I enjoy listening to, so I mix it up. Okay, so those are some good habits that I do. I started back on my gym routine. My gym habit is a good habit. It's where I'm going 3 to 4 times a week, and I'm getting a good little 45 minutes to an hour workout. And so that's a really good routine. Another great routine for work is that I'm taking on a 90-minute time and then a 60-minute time. So the first 90 minutes of my day after my other routine, I tackle the thing that I think is the most important thing that's going to move the ball down the field the most for what I do for work, which is leading a church and leading the businesses. And so in doing that, I want to be very strategic with that first 90-minute window. That's a good habit. And then I take a 10-minute break, probably get something to eat. And then I go after it 60 minutes, 10 minutes off, 60 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And these are just new habits that I started to form. Another one is called the Big Three. So every week I say, here are the big 3 things that I want to accomplish this week that I really think are going to move the ball down the field. These are prayerfully considered. And then I go for it, right? And I start putting them in my calendar, making sure that I'm taking my 90 minutes for a lot of those of my big 3. Are usually my 90-minute windows that I'm hitting every day. So anyways, I could go on and on, but those are some of the things to just prime the pump a little bit. I got habits for my wife. She and I will go on a date night every 2 weeks. It can happen more than that or a little bit less than that, but it never goes more than a month without going out on a date night. We try to make sure that we do it every other week. And and then we do like a habit of a getaway twice a year, just the 2 of us for a weekend getaway. And so on and so forth. I could go on and on, all the different habits that are good habits that help me to stay healthy physically, emotionally, spiritually, etc., relationally. So, all right, let me take a look at what you all doing. David wants to know what a boob tube is. I think that was back in the big days, right? With the big box and the antennas coming out. It's that thing called a TV. All right, so what are my habits and a good habit is only buying, let's see what Lori says. All right, I got to make this a little bigger. All right, a good habit is to only buy goods like clothing and things for the house that I absolutely love. Yeah. So I call it the 6-month rule. You know what I mean? So if you have like a wish list, right? There's things that you want to buy. There's things that you're like, oh, I really want that. Put it on your calendar, your phone, on the refrigerator. I don't care how you do this, but basically write it down somewhere and put it on your calendar. And you're going to add to this throughout the 6 months, right? At the end of 6 months, ask yourself, do you still want that? Okay, because there's a difference between needs and wants. So for your wants, you want to do the 6-month calendar and just figure it out. like at the end of 6 months, do you still really want that? And if so, go ahead and buy it. And guess what you could have done during those 6 months? Great routine, great habit. You know how much that item is going to cost. Stop putting away that much money per month, times 6, right? $600, put $100 a month away. So now when the time comes, if you really think you want that still, now you have the money to afford it. 2 great habits, right? Beautiful. I love it. All right. Thank you, Laurie, for contributing that way. Let's see. A bad habit is too much time on Facebook. Absolutely. And again, redeem Facebook by these types of things. And I mean that. There's a lot of great things. Like when I talk about enriching our minds through, I call them podcasts. I don't know what you call them, but basically you could go on, there's different things you can find on Facebook that you can follow somebody that puts out good stuff like this, like we're doing right now. Okay. And so, but as a bad habit, absolutely. And so now you want to ask yourself, what are you getting out of it? What are you getting from it? And challenge that thought, because what is this habit producing, Lori? All right. So you don't have to write. If you want to write in the comments, awesome. But if not, make sure you write it down to yourself. So what is this habit actually producing in your life? And what are you telling yourself to permit yourself? Meaning, like, how are you fooling yourself in it? Like, oh, I like to spend time on Facebook because you know what? Like, I only do it for 10 minutes at a time, and it's just kind of like during a break during the day. And then 10 minutes turns into 20 and 20 turns into 60, right? And so again, being honest with yourself about the bad habit, and then what is it actually producing? So that might give you the impetus to want to not do that any longer. All right, so Colleen says, yelling is my bad habit. So first of all, thank you for sharing that. And this is like the book of James is a great book of the Bible because it talks about first of all, so ask yourself the same question. What is this habit producing? Okay? So be very honest with yourself. Because I think we can fool ourselves into thinking somehow when I yell, I'm getting my point across. I'm being heard. Sometimes it makes me feel good about myself. I got a false sense of power, right? There's a lot of different reasons why we yell. All right. And so first, be honest with yourself in that. And then secondly, what are the results of it? Because I would have to imagine, I don't like to be on the other side of yelling. I don't know too many people who like to be on the other side of being yelled at. And so I'm going to assume that it's producing certain things in relationships, whether that's with your spouse, with your children, with friends, whomever you're yelling at. And so if you can look at that and actually ask yourself, what is it actually producing, and be really honest, that might give you, what you need to change. So then you have to start saying, well, what's a good habit? Like, how can you, so here's a good example of what I mean by how do you take this from yelling as a bad habit? So what good habit can you put into play? And I'm going to write it down because I want you to think about it and maybe you can write it in. All right, so because I don't like to tell people what to do, I'm going to throw out some things to consider, but it would be good for you to take this time and just think about it for yourself and say, this is the thing that I think would become a good habit for me. All right, and then I will try not to forget. All right, so just, throw something in there. All right, so then Crystal says, being inconsistent is my bad habit. So being inconsistent in what, Crystal? Try to be specific here, okay? Being inconsistent, first of all, thank you for putting that out there because I can really relate to this. So I can be going on my habits, like going to the gym and doing really, really well. And then, all of a sudden I get sick and I miss a few days, and that few days turns into a week, and that week turns into 2 weeks, right? And it's really easy to get sucked back in to these bad habits. So this idea of being inconsistent, I'd like you to take one thing, because what I want you to do at the back end of our time together is to choose a good habit to replace the bad habit. And so if you just like to say, I'm going to be consistent in all these areas of life, is probably not going to happen, right? So just choose one thing first and foremost. And if you put it in the link, then I'll speak to it and I'll try to offer some insights, okay? So throw something in there. Liz says, too much time on Facebook and Instagram, probably too much coffee drinking. My toxic relationship with Amazon Prime. And I yell too much too. And I love your authenticity. Oh man, this is so good. All right, Liz. So same thing. Just do the work. All the things that I've been putting out there, do the work. Ask yourself the tough questions. What's the results? So now stay way back and ask ourselves, all right, 5 years ago, if you could go back in time 5 years and you could tell yourself, what advice would you give yourself 5 years ago? So, I'm 49. So when I was 44, this is what I would have said. And then fast forward to today and say, man, am I a byproduct? So now then give yourself advice now for 5 years from now. What are the things that you would say to yourself now that you want to produce over the next 5 years? What would you say to your 18-year-old, or if your kids are 4 years old, when they're 18, what would you want to say to them? If you could go back in time, because you have a 25-year-old, what would you say to them? What's your best life advice? And then ask yourself, are you living these things? So I'm just trying to, again, prime the pump for you to think and use your imagination because ultimately, I would suggest all of us want to live a life of significance, right? We want to make a contribution while we're here. And so are we doing that? Are we measuring up to that which we want to accomplish? And I'm giving you opportunities to do that. I'm giving you some insights to really think about and process so that, because it's never too late. All right. That's a lie. If you ever think you're too old or you're too this or you're too that. No, no, no. Today is the perfect day. It's the perfect time to start now. And so whatever that new habit is, you can start it today. And that's the goal. I want to see you start new habits today. All right. Liz, yeah. I mean, come on, Liz. You're the best. You make me laugh so many times a day. Your humor is a light for me. I love it. Liz loves that. I do too. Let's see. Every morning I read Jesus Calling and another devotional book. I work out about 4 times a week. I like the 3 things a week to accomplish good ideas, since I feel like I have an endless list of things to do. And then the bad is Facebook, Candy Crush, and cleaning the house. Yeah, well, we got to clean the house once in a while. I'm not a big fan, but every now and again you have to. So this is great. Good list, Jojo. Appreciate both sides of that. And then again, even with your good habits, ask yourself, why are you doing these things? And like, what are the results you're trying to get? And are these good habits getting you what you want to get? See, these can be like, let's see, which ones? All right, so I'm just going to use a devotional book, right? I'm just using this as an example. But let's say that devotional book, the reason why you did that is because you wanted to grow spiritually and you wanted to make changes in your life, like practical, tangible changes in your life to become more like Christ, okay? Now, is that devotional actually doing it? That devotional might stimulate some thought. It might be a good intellectual exercise, but is it producing the results that you want it to produce? Now, that might be you. It might be the devotional. If it's the devotional, change the devotional, right? Or change it to something completely different. So that, because the ultimate thing is you're doing things. The reason why we do our habits is to produce certain results. So even good habits need to be examined. Hope that helps. I think that's a really good nugget right there. I wish my bad habit was cleaning the Oh, I love it. My bad habit is not cleaning it. How about the bathroom that goes without, and that's the one thing I do around the house and it doesn't get done for a month. And that's being kind. Oh, I'm so sorry to even share. That's disgusting. Oh my gosh. Everything, honestly, I'm either knocking it out of the park or I am getting nothing done. Okay, but choose one. It really, Crystal, it doesn't matter which one. Choose one. Because I want you to form a habit. Like, I want you to choose one thing to do in one area. And so it is very, very important. Okay. And then Sandra wrote, if I could go back 5 years, I would tell myself to go for it and go back to school. Wow, that's so awesome. So here's the, so I guess I don't know. Did you go back to school ever? Or are you in school? So here's my thing. It's never too late. And I know you'll have all these reasons and stories and why I can't do this and I'm busy and I'm that and so but you can. And that's the beauty of this. You can. And so you know, obviously each of us has to live our journey, live our path, right? But Sandra, I just want you to know, like, it's never too late, right? And to go for it and to go back to school are two things that I would pass on to my children. Like, I love that. I love the idea of like, go for it, right? To have that attitude, that mental toughness, and like stop playing it fearfully, stop playing it safely, and start living life out on the scary little skinny limbs, right? Like get out in the skinny branches and places where you have to actually get out of your comfort zone and you got to trust God and you got to go for it, right? So yes, Nike, just do it. Go for it. I love that. So, hey, what do you want to go for, Sandra? Like think about that one thing, one habit that you can create. And if it is still school, like I don't know if it is, right? It might not fit your goals right now. So don't feel guilty about that. But if it does fit it will help you with developing your skill set. It will help you to grow in whatever career you're in, et cetera, et cetera. Like, don't let these other excuses get in the way of it and take your own advice. Like, go for it, right? So now take that second part of what I said. All right, now fast forward 5 years from now. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And what would you tell yourself? All right. And then take the steps, create the habits that will allow you to take the action steps to move forward so that 5 years from now, you're not saying the same thing. I wish I had, I could have, would have, should have, right? So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Sandra. I really appreciate you sharing. So then, Crystal, right, 3 things I'm inconsistent on: discipline, both self-discipline and actually disciplining my children, fitness, laundry. All right, so which one are you going to choose? See how difficult I am? Yes, I do. All right, so pick one of those, and then I'll make some comments. Give me inconsistent on discipline, self-discipline, actually discipline my children. So disciplining your children, fitness, and don't go laundry with me, please, because I don't do that one. So give me discipline of the children or fitness. Choose one. Ready? Go. And don't be difficult. All right, Jojo, sometimes my bad habit is trying to do too much. I think I'm still 25. That's so awesome. And I get it, right? In the sense of it has ramifications different than when you were 25. So there's wisdom there too. All right. And then on a positive note, not cleaning my house was a problem for me. And 5 weeks ago, I decided enough was enough. 9:30 to 12:30 on Sundays, we clean our house as a family, period. No excuses. And for 5 weeks, we've done it, and it feels amazing. Awesome. That's so great. Way to go. And then, you know, I have to say something because that's right in the middle of church. So I'm going to encourage you to create a new habit. But it's okay. I'm just teasing with you. That is so amazing. And now give me one. Discipline. That's it. That's the chosen one. Discipline. All right. Discipline in what? Fitness or discipline in the children? Give me one. If I could give advice to myself, Liz, let's see. If I could give advice to myself 5 years ago, it would be not to worry about the future. Easier said than done, obviously, but God had a much better plan for me than I thought. I wanted to be a mom so much and didn't know it would ever happen, but it did, right? Oh, that's so great. Would not be to worry about the future. That's just such great advice. Said positively, to put my faith and trust in God for my future. You know what I mean? Like, to give me a sense of ease, a sense of peace, a sense of knowing and trusting Him. And so that no matter where you're at, no matter what you're going through, there's that, you just have that peace. Like no one can take that away from you. You have that built-in joy as well. And so that's just great advice. And so, yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I listen to you in my ears. All right. Do you want fitness or discipline of the children? Because I don't have time to talk about both. I got to wrap it up. All right. So I'll give you a couple of quick things. The discipline of your children, I'll say it this way, has more to do with you and your own character than it does with disciplining the kids. Ouch! But it's a gold nugget for you, Crystal. It's for all of us as parents. The disciplining of our children has more to do with me and my character than it has to do with them. What do I mean? What I mean is a lot of things, our children can produce great character development in us if we're open to that. So when you find yourself being short with them, yelling at them, being impatient with them, being frustrated by them, there's something broken inside of you that's causing these reactions and these feelings. You have to do a little soul searching, okay? But this is true. And then what happens is when you can find out the why, like why are you being impatient? Why are you inconsistent with your disciplining? Okay, I'll hit that one. One of the reasons why we're inconsistent in our discipline is because we don't want to be the bad mom or the bad parent or the mean one. You know what I mean? Like let's put the mean one, not the bad one. You're actually a good parent when you discipline, discipline and love. So not to get a behavioral correction either, but to help create godliness. Oh, this is I'm going to do a parenting course. Did you hear that? We discipline not to do a behavioral correction, but to help them become more godly in their character. There's a huge difference. And when you take that on, you discipline differently. When you understand you're cultivating a heart, you're cultivating a life, that now you're disciplined. You would never discipline out of anger, impatience, frustration, resentment, or yelling if you had this mindset, right? Because you see yourself as a coach who's you're thinking very wisely and strategically how to cultivate a child's heart so that you're navigating a course for them to go on where they learn and they develop and they become more like Christ. And so, but anyways, there's so many reasons why we don't discipline. It could be because of the family that you were raised in. Either you had a very strict disciplinarian as a parent, or you had a very lax one. Either one causes you to be inconsistent with your discipline, right? And so a funny little story for us was for me and Diane when we first had kids, and this is going back a while. This was in 1998, right? I think that's true. And so we've been married for 4 years. And I come from a single parent home. My mom lived with my mom most of the time, and she was a pretty strict disciplinarian, very structured. And so that's what I was raised with. You know, I felt like I turned out pretty good. So I'm like, this works, right? And Diane comes from a home where it's pretty lax in the discipline department, very easygoing, hands-off kind of strategy. And Diane turned out pretty good, kind of worked for her. So now we have two competing strategies that both we saw as effective. And so my little funny story is that, so in our house, in our first floor, our main floor, when you come in is the living room and the kitchen, right? So a lot of our social time with the children is downstairs in that main area. All right, but upstairs is where our bedrooms are, and you can hear everything. If I'm upstairs in my bedroom, I can hear everything downstairs. And so I'm hearing, like, I don't know what's going on, but I know that Diane said something to the kids, so she's corrected them already, like, hey, pick up that or something. And then nothing happened. And then a minute goes by and Diane says it again. She's like, you know, again, pick up that, whatever. You know, I told you to pick it up, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happens. So like I'm upstairs and I'm steaming, right? Like I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, what's going on here, honey? Like, can't you discipline the kids, for crying out loud? Like this, all the stuff going through my head. Right? So of course, what do you think is going to come out when I go downstairs? Like I'm pretty disciplined, but oh boy. So I come downstairs, I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, pick up that thing that your mother told you to pick up. Don't you, when your mother says something once, you do it the first time. Let's go, right? And I make them do it. So then now I'm kind of like, all right, so I got my kid to do what I want him to do. Whatever. We can get our kids to do whatever we want. That's not good parenting, all right? That's the behavioral modification. To help them understand respect, to help them understand, hey, as family members, we all contribute here. To help them not to have a sense of entitlement, that we actually pick up after ourselves, that we care for each other, that we love each other, that we respect authority, right? There's all these other beautiful life lessons that God wants us to teach our children and uses these as opportunities to do so. So then now, God takes that opportunity from a parenting thing that I blew because I'm trying to get the behavior modification. And then now he uses this as an opportunity to grow in my marriage because now I'm pissed at Diane. And I'm like, honey, like, come on. We've talked about this. Like, we got to discipline the kids, right? So I didn't say that well, so now I got an opportunity. What am I trying to do? Am I trying to get my wife to just to follow me and do what I want? That's not a great recipe for a great marriage. Or I can be more of a godly person and I can say, honey, let's talk about this. Let's really figure out the why behind this. Why is this important to discipline the kids? Well, what life lessons are we teaching them? If we do, what life lessons, like what are we lacking or what are we not producing that we want to if we don't? Let's talk that through. And as intelligent, mature human beings, we can figure this out, right? So you can see the two tacks, right? Two approaches going to have two very, very different kinds of results, right? So anyways, I know this is a parenting lesson, but I know this is good stuff. And so I hope this is helpful. And there you go. No, so of course, Crystal. Now you pick fitness. Oh, I knew you were going to do that. All right, I'll pick that up on another day. But basically, the habit is get your butt to the gym. No, go for a walk every day. Pick one thing. All right, I love you guys. This has been fun. I hope it's been helpful. I feel like there's been a lot of good stuff on here. Oh, and Carlene, I almost forgot. What were the couple of things that you could do? Hopefully you wrote down something, but one of the things is for all of us that struggle when we like have a short temper or we yell a lot and stuff like that. It's a practice of knowing thyself. So on a 0 to 10 barometer, when we're a 0 to 4, we have self-control. 5, 6, and 7, we're in the danger zone. 8, 9, and 10, we've boiled over. So when you find yourself in the 5, 6, 7, you're still in control. At that point, go for a walk. At that point, get in prayer time. Like get somewhere where you can remove yourself from the situation, pray about it. Another way of looking at it is climb the ladder, go to the balcony, meaning gain perspective on it. Another thing is, and I know people don't like this one, but it's still a good one. Take an adult timeout. Right? When I say go for a walk, there's a lot of things in that, and sometimes an adult timeout is if you can't leave the kids or something like that. I know, I'm just talking to everybody right now. So if you have young kids, you can't leave the house on them, but you can take an adult time out by like removing yourself. Maybe go to your bedroom, lock the door even if it's for 5 minutes. But you want to collect yourself and get yourself back down to a 2, 3, or a 4, where now you can now go and talk civilly to the people in your life. So, anyways, those are 2 quick things I wanted to throw your way. Whatever you came up with, go with that one because it's the one you came up with. All right, you guys are doing great, and you guys are amazing. And I'm glad you're laughing, Crystal. And Michelle, we love you too. Good stuff. All right. Now go and share this. As always, right? Get the word out. Take a minute, share this. And what's today? Today is Wednesday. So I will be on tomorrow morning, 6:30 for breakthrough prayer time. All right. If you want to join us for that. And we'll see you then. Have a great day. God bless.